Good. There's Ann. There's Ann.
I'm here.
Ann.
So what we have here is Exodus 5. And then it also said, what did you say, Sharon? Exodus 5 or selections from Exodus 5, 7 through 14, did we?
Yeah,
I didn't say anything about the selections because
Okay.
Exodus 5 is only 22 verses. I thought
Yeah.
we could do it.
Could do the whole thing. So
Yeah.
why don't we go ahead and read Exodus 5? Then we can wonder about it because that's really all we do, right? Is wonder about it.
Wonder. Yeah.
Yeah. So Exodus 5 is 22 verses, 23 verses. So kind of let's just somebody read through verse 9 and somebody else pick up at verse 10. Go through let's go just 10 through 14 and then somebody finish 15 through the end.
I can start.
Thank you. And then Ann Barnwell, I saw your hand. So I didn't
Okay, I'll go second.
second,
Yeah.
see a third.
I'll do third.
Okay, got and Mark
Okay.
with the finish. Okay.
And afterward, Moses and Aaron came and said to Pharaoh, "Thus said the Lord God of Israel, send off Israel, my people, that they may celebrate to me in the wilderness." And Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord that I should heed his voice to send off Israel? I do not know the Lord, nor will I send off Israel." And they said, "The God of the Hebrews happened upon us. Let us go, pray, a 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God, lest he hit us with pestilence or sword." And the king of Egypt said to them, "Why, Moses and Aaron, do you disturb the people from their tasks? Go to your burdens." And Pharaoh said, "Look, the people of the land are now many, and you would make them cease from their burdens." And Pharaoh on that day charged the people's taskmasters and its overseers, saying, "You shall no longer give the people straw to make the bricks as in the time past. They themselves will go and scrabble for straw. And the quota of bricks that they were making in the past, you shall impose upon them. You shall not deduct it from them, for they are idlers."
Okay. And this is verse what?
Must be like 8b and then goes to 9.
Okay, so, and the tale of the bricks which they did make there heretofore, you shall lay upon them, you shall not diminish.
Hello?
No, okay, 9. Let there be more work laid upon them, men, and they may labor therein, and let them not regard vain words. And the taskmasters of the people went out, and of their officers, and they spoke to the people, saying, Thus saith Pharaoh, I will not give you straw.
Hmm.
15.
Going,
Keep going, Ann. No, Ann Barnwell
okay,
going up to
go ye get you straw where you can find it, yet not aught of your work shall be diminished. So the people were scattered abroad throughout the land of Egypt to gather stubble instead of straw. And the taskmasters haste them, saying, Fulfill your works, your daily tasks, as when there was straw. And the pharaohs of the children of Israel, which Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten and demanded, Wherefore have ye, I should get a different Bible, have ye not fulfilled your task in making brick both yesterday and today as heretofore? Then the officers of the children of Israel came and cried unto Pharaoh, saying, Where dealest thou thus with thy servants? There is no straw given unto thy servants, and they say to us, Make brick, and behold, thy servants are beaten. But the fault is in thine own people.
Where are you? What verse are you on?
I
Finish.
just finished 16.
You did. Okay, great. You just
Pharaoh said, lazy. That's what you are, lazy. I'm reading from the Student Bible, New International Version. That's why you keep saying, let us go and sacrifice to the Lord. Now get to work. You will not be given any straw, yet you must produce your full quota of bricks. The Israelite foreman realized that they were in trouble when they were told, you are not to reduce the number of bricks required of them for each day. When they left Pharaoh, they found Moses and Aaron waiting to meet them, and they said, may the Lord look upon you and judge you. You have made us a stench to Pharaoh and his officials and have put a sword in their hand to kill us. Moses returned to the Lord and said, oh Lord, why have you brought trouble upon this people? Is that why you sent me? Ever since I went to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has brought more trouble upon this people, and you have not rescued your people at all. The end of the word.
Hmm.
Chapter.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
King James.
So what? First of all, I mean, what are our questions?
I keep thinking about not Pharaoh, but the people, the overseers and the foremen who were told to say that.
Who are only doing their job.
Only
That's
doing their job.
Yeah. So
exactly
that
what I thought. And of course, that brought us through a lot of centuries of history. Pharaoh said that they were lazy, but so the foreman said that this is what they had to do. Yeah, that's kind of that struck out for me, kept pressing them. And what I'm thinking is they had their backs against the wall too, because I suppose the ones over them were counting and saying, well, did you get your quota? Did your people make their quota for the day? So they're kind of in the middle too, I assume. I was guessing. We're just guessing. You know, they had to be responsible to the next guy, to the next bureaucratic guy up through Pharaoh. Anyway, why did the Lord do that? I mean, really, these people go through an awful lot before
I'm here.
they get going.
My question is, who is Pharaoh?
Well, we can take that historically, or we can take that empirically as of now.
Who is, in this story,
Mhm.
Well,
who,
he's a historical figure, but
well, there are many, called
but he's
Pharaoh.
obviously evil in this story.
When we're looking at this, what is that? What role is Pharaoh
Well,
playing?
at that point, he is the considered divine ruler, God. And I don't know if it's Amenhotep that would be the pharaoh at that time or not, because I've read some of the early Egyptian stuff.
Yeah, I guess I'm not considered I'm not really interested
That's not what you're interested in, no.
The actuality of the history. I mean, because there's so many pharaohs, and this story goes on and on and on
Mhm.
So yeah,
and
Jane.
on. So what are we? What? And in our arc of villain and evil, what's this one? So Jane Korsberg.
I think he's the figure that needs to keep a cap on everything.
Hmm.
He needs to keep the people happy. He needs to keep the overseers and the foremen in their place. And he certainly needs to keep this upstart Moses and Aaron couple that are threatening the growth national product in
Yeah,
place.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, all those things. Sharon Grover, did you? And then Ann Barnwell, and then Wendy.
Well, I think the question is even bigger than who is Pharaoh. In this discrete part of the narrative from Exodus, who is the villain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's the villain?
Who is the what?
Pharaoh's just being
Villain.
Pharaoh.
Right.
He's doing what kings do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moses said that God is going to send pestilence or sword against them. That sounds rather villainish.
So is God the villain?
That's a
I
good
think
question.
God can be.
God, the villain.
What's God up to here?
Yeah.
What's God up to?
What's he up to?
Pharaoh?
Ann Barnwell.
I think that in this story, you have to show that the Hebrews are being treated unfairly and that there's a reason for them to leave. you know, um, that, and that's being laid out quite clearly that, well, I don't know why. I guess that's my only point,
Yeah.
which is that it's fair for them to leave. They're not shirking their duties. They're being treated badly.
So Anne, would you suggest that this is serving the narrative?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That the narrative is taking us to this place where I don't want to put words in your mouth, and I'm just speculating.
Well, I always like what you say, but I think that's where we're going. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
If we didn't know this, if it wasn't told to us that this was a bad thing, we wouldn't understand why it is they needed to leave.
Okay. Okay.
right.
Thank you, Anne. Good. Okay, Wendy.
Point.
I was gonna say, like, even in today's world, don't you think Pharaoh would be like what we would consider like our president? And like he's the ruler, and like in this time and age, don't we think our president is a villain? Or some of us feel like our president maybe a villain wasn't Pharaoh, maybe a little bit of a villain then.
He was
I
considered
think
that by many.
we're setting this up. I mean, it
Mm,
is the narrative is setting up this story of
Hmm.
of villainous behavior. I do want to interject Peter Enns again because we read his book Exodus for
Yeah.
normal people.
That's
And he has some really interesting things to say. So, for those of you who have that book in pages 53 through 55, what he says is that sovereigns, so, kings, emperors, pharaohs, don't yield to the demands of the powerless.
Mm,
This is, and Yahweh at this point in time is an unnamed God. So
Hmm.
mm,
nobody even knows who this is. And says the production line of the empire can't stop cold because the workforce has some god that wants them to take a break. And then he says Yahweh is on the move.
mm,
This little incident, which looks like a failure to all concerned, um, so the whole trying to let the people go is in fact the big setup, a lesson for both Egypt and Israel. Egypt appears fully in charge, and Israel's hope for liberation has turned into a death march. Now,
Hmm.
both sides will see what happens when the
mm,
God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob stretches out God's mighty hand.
mm.
Is Pharaoh just a foil
Wow.
to
There's a good point.
Well, he's a foil in the sense that he's doing everything in his power to keep them from having time to worship. And I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
his main thing is like, I'll call you lazy, I'll, do all that, but I really just don't want you to have any time to worship your God.
Hmm.
Mm. I think he doesn't care about the worship piece. He just
No.
needs to keep control of things.
Yep.
Egypt is very concerned with all of their gods.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking that they don't want another god to have to worship as well.
Right, because he says, I
Mm,
don't know who this guy is. I've never heard of him. And you're right, they would be also afraid that their power would be diminished by giving less attention to, and I can't remember who their main god, well, to Isis or their other gods. The, he might be really worried that this would be causing damage. The other god might get mad. But I honestly think he just wants them to keep working. It's plain and simple
mm,
business.
Yeah,
yep.
I
If
tend
you ever get a chance to go to Egypt, go. It is so interesting.
I tend to agree with you, Anne Wonky. He Pharaoh is Pharaoh is the authority figure here, and
Mhm.
and he just wants to keep his line moving, his production line moving. But I think that he also has some villainous and vindictiveness in him, because he wants them now not only to move the bricks, but to get the straw and make the bricks,
Right.
to still have the same production output.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think that he just keeps getting worse.
Mhm. I think even the choice of words that now the people will scrabble for straw
Yeah.
implies they're on the ground, you know, pulling up dirt and all sorts of crap just to get the straw on their own.
And the whole idea that he's going to beat them, whether, no matter who they are, children and adults alike, um, is part of that villainous behavior.
Yeah. Yes.
Go ahead,
Can
Ann.
you,
Yeah, go ahead, Ann.
I was just thinking, can you imagine how this resounded in the 1850s and early 60s with the slaves? How they took this to heart, that this was an answer to them, that God was going to move for them just as God moved through Moses. I was just, and of course we've read that also, where they considered Lincoln another Moses.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
There are people that Christians in North Africa and the Sudan areas that are probably thinking the same thing, because they certainly are being under siege.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hasn't gone away.
I do want to go back to somebody's horrible question about I mean, I guess is it the question, did do you let's see, do you think that the writers of this story, the tellers and the writers, told it in this particular way? I mean, it's the idea that God intends, God plans, God, makes it happen this way is completely outside of my image of who God is. But it is kind of in the writing of the story. I don't know. Do you, somebody was reading it that way, I think. I don't,
Making God the
And
villain.
yeah. Go ahead, Jane. Jane,
I think there are times that we know we can't understand why God allows evil.
mhm.
So I think there's a kind of a strange connection between God allowing and God can't and God won't, because he is so far beyond my intellect that I just have to wonder at these things.
Mm. Yeah. Sharon?
But God sets this up.
Let's say that again.
God sets this up.
God set this up.
Yeah, I mean, he sets up this scenario,
Mhm.
sending Moses and Aaron to say, let my people go worship. I mean,
Yeah,
they're going to be gone for a while.
right.
God knows Pharaoh's not going to say, sure, go ahead.
Hmm.
So why?
Right.
So,
Get
dog. Go on. Get. So why?
Hmm.
And I do a lot of work in my own head to separate out the story, why does the story get told this way?
Yeah.
And I work hard to separate out that from who I know God to be. Because in my world, those can be two different things. Go ahead, Sharon.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I think it's necessary to acknowledge. I mean, we don't know God's plan. We don't know God's thinking, for want of a better term, because there's a lot of evil in the world,
Yeah.
and God lets it happen.
Mhm.
I mean,
And this isn't the only instance of
No.
feeling like God is setting
Mhm.
this up, you know.
does it
Um,
always bring us back to that? I mean, I think we're looking at these stories, and I think that it's going to always bring us back to that.
Yeah.
Yes, as the nature of evil,
Mhm.
and how is that? I mean, I still contend that evil is not part of God's um, not part of God's creation. Uh,
Mhm.
I still contend that tragedy, for example, is a result of
Yeah.
um, how evil works in the
Mhm.
world,
Mhm.
um, and that that we do have this choice, and that you know I think bad choices or awful choices or evil choices or villainous choices or not loving choices. I think those are cumulative,
Mhm.
and that can result in these horrible evils. But that might just be things I make up in my head,
Mhm.
Jane. And then
Well,
again,
as we move on through Exodus and these back and forth with Pharaoh and uh, what I'm getting at is it often says, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened.
mhm.
Yeah.
But
What?
the last instance, it says, and God hardened Pharaoh's heart.
Yeah. Why do you
And
explain that?
yeah,
What do you do with that?
what do you do with that? There are these things that are just, I don't think evil is, certainly, I don't think evil is part of the nature of God. But if we look at death as the ultimate evil, then we get back to that whole thing of why did this happen, God?
And I don't think that death is the ultimate evil. I think that death is part of life. And as we don't understand so much of life on this earth, we do not understand death on this earth.
Maybe the ultimate sadness, the ultimate
Yeah,
grief.
grief. Yeah, I get that part.
Yeah.
Keep talking. I'll be right back. I'm going to get my Acts book because Matthew Skinner had something to say about this. Keep.
Yes, I have
I
that. So what
I
I was
wonder
saying,
Hmm.
what I was
I
saying,
wonder why God gave us choice when he makes demands
Yeah.
at the same time.
Mm.
that's what I was going to go with, is the evil is the choice, the result of the choice that
Mhm.
we were allowed to make, because if we didn't have choice, we wouldn't we wouldn't be free loving God with ourselves. It would be a duty rather than whatever word we're going to use for it. So yeah, but I was also
well,
thinking evil is also the ultimate act of self.
Mm.
Mhm.
Ultimate act of what?
Self of selfishness, of choosing. Pharaoh is choosing for what he needs, not for he doesn't care about the rest of the country. Pharaoh, and you can use Pharaoh to be whatever person or thing you want it to be, uh, which could be, yeah. Anyway, that he is that it's a matter of choosing for self rather than choosing for other, which is what God asks us to do.
When you say that, it's self, S as in Sam, E
Yes,
L F.
self. Yes, self, SELF.
Thank you.
So, Skinner.
Paula,
Oh,
Paula
Paula.
wanted to
No,
throw
no,
something.
go ahead.
So Skinner says,
Oh.
in the Acts book that I'm now on my third or fourth reading,
Page.
page 96, if you have it,
Can't find it
at the end of his reflections. How can you not find it? It's like at the
because there's a whole bunch of other things on the shelf.
top of my file.
I'm fighting for another one too, Sharon. Go ahead.
So what he says is, so he's talking about the power of Satan. He's talking about all evil, etc. And he says attributing all of that, so all of the stuff, to Satan sounds too convenient and hasty to overlook the evil that humanity generates all on its own. The same time, Acts contends there is a persistent sickness about the world and the status quo that only God can overcome. Through Jesus Christ, God accomplishes a liberation that we cannot achieve by ourselves.
Hmm.
He also promises he's going to write a book on evil, and I'm kind of waiting with bated breath
Hmm.
for that one. But,
Hmm.
so one of the questions are at the very beginning. So in learning the skill of exploring villains and creating the pattern recognition for discerning evil in the world, we can then reflect on how God and or God's people respond to the abuses of power with transformative love and liberation. And so rather than getting bogged down in, and we people have asked this question always, what is the nature of evil? What is, is that of God? Is it not of God? What is that? And we can get bogged down in tomes and tomes of thought experiments about evil. But that to me is really the burning. Um, we read our Bibles to be transformed. At least that's why I keep at it. So how, in that, how do we see this pattern of how of discerning evil, and then how what is our response, and can that response be transformative?
Well, this is going to sound, I just think this is pretty close to the beginning when Pharaoh is torturing them. And we know this goes on for a long, long time. And do you think God he's testing them to see if they will remain faithful no matter what Pharaoh throws at them?
Does God test?
And that's the
The
question.
narrative shows us that God does.
Mhm.
I mean, think about Jesus after his baptism.
Right.
I mean,
So is that
finally God delivers them, but it's not right away. I mean, they have to endure, more than anyone should have to endure.
test and seduction? So when we talk about what is the nature of evil, for most of us people, us that are on this camera today, I think evil is much more like seduction. It's none of us jump into bad things, right?
No, and it's
No, we are seduced by we might very well be seduced by something we talk about this all the time. It looks great.
Mhm.
On paper.
on paper. And we jump in and realize we've been seduced. Right? So, that is that's what Ponzi schemes do, right? They seduce you into believing that your payout's going to be way better than the investment that you make. And somebody's going to be making piles of money, but you do it anyway. Anyway, you people do it anyway. Um, is that the same as, because I will always, I define sin, at least personal sin, and I think corporate sin as well, is, turning my back on God, turning my back on the love and the mercy and the compassion that is God. So is that does that work on a macro level? Does
I
that
think so.
work when it comes to authoritarianism and corporate greed and um,
To bring harm?
to bring, yeah. I think Jane, you said it a while back that one of Pharaoh's goals was to create um, to prevent them from their worship. Sometimes wonder if that's not what's happening. Is that in today is that part of what evil is? Or to
When I think of today
I'm gonna
and what
I'm gonna finish my thought, Jane.
I
To
was
so
taking
that
off on your thought.
Yeah, but I haven't finished it yet. So that that are creating a so-called worship that that demands people to do it all in one sort of way, that there's only one way. I kind of lost my train of thought. Go ahead, Jane.
Today, we are, as Christians, very much pressured to not be a Christian. And that's a good share of this story of Exodus that I believe is what's happening with Pharaoh. He's got all this worship with all these gods that Egypt worships, and you're not coming in here and making another one. And I'm seeing that in our construction of life these days so much, as we're not allowed to have a God. We just do what the hell you want to do.
I would disagree with that.
You do. Who's that?
Kathy, me. In that what I am witnessing today is huge pressure to worship and to believe in a Christian way that I can't abide. So
What?
that I cannot abide.
Oh,
So that a God of power, a God of greed, a God of um, um, and that you have to all fall in line and worship that God of authoritarianism, that God of Christian nationalism. Mary Lou, and then
I I kind of disagree with that because
Okay.
what I think is that they don't believe in God. They don't believe in that. They're using that as power and control. It's empire. Our problem has always been empire.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I don't believe they believe in God.
Yeah.
Who is they? Who are you
How,
referring
Mary
to?
Lou,
Whoever
you
she
define
doesn't
your
like.
thing.
Who's
It
they?
is the Christian nationalists.
Oh,
I-
today.
and
You're
the-
talking
and-
about today.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the people at the top. No, our problem from even back in Exodus time is empire.
Yeah.
And we have never found the way to effectively confront and get rid of empire.
Yeah.
What's your definition of empire?
Yeah, how about Russia and China?
Empire,
The empire?
of course. We're
And
empire. Rome was empire. Pharaoh is empire.
Donald Trump
Um,
wants an empire.
Yeah,
I think
well,
he's there.
He's there.
gonna say.
And Mary Lou, I think you're right, and I think that empire in the end always fails, and I think that no people group is ever really free from it.
Mm.
I think that that if you look at the stories in Kings, that's empire, and they failed, and that's why the Judean empires failed, because they engaged in empire, and it's so prevalent in the world today that one wonders what's going to happen. Not just here. I mean, I think we're firmly into empire now. I don't think we're looking at it trying to happen. But as I can't remember who it was, said Russia and China and
Any of the other-
Israel. I don't think you can leave them out right now. And it's what's going to happen when they all want to be the empire, because never are they happy being part of an empire.
And yeah. Well, and then, I mean, what is so seductive about, I mean, we all know the answer. You know, what is so seductive there? What is the thing that doesn't seem to be evil, but really and truly is evil? And that's the power and greed that one wants, and so will sign on with
And the complete lack of caring, those people that are in power and have the money and the power, their complete lack of caring about others. I'm watching, reading things about how many farms are having to close up shop and they can't afford fertilizer and they
That
don't
happened back in the 80s.
Yeah.
They had to close up in the 80s too. Different group of people, same problem.
Yep.
That's why we
But
lost our farm. Do it now.
they empire and oligarchy seem to go hand in hand. And so, if it's a case, that old saying, follow the money, that certainly rings true for just about any empire you can. I mean, here they had free labor in Egypt. Let's make them work a little faster. And so that never works out well for the people who do not have the power and the money. And the people who do have the power and the money will do anything to make sure they keep the power and the money.
Yep.
And that maybe is what the nature of evil is, and how I think that this study enjoins us to figure out how we, the people without the power and the money, respond to that kind of evil.
I think you're 100% right, Sharon.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking back to when we started with Genesis, what Kathy said about evil and the seduction, where the evil, whoever, serpent, whatever, says, hath God said? Has he really said? You know, beginning to think, oh, well, maybe that isn't what he said. Maybe, well, it's good to eat, it's good, whatever it is that we're seduced by is good. Well, maybe God didn't really say that was a bad thing, and that we follow that seduction line. I was just thinking about back in Genesis. So is this going on? Do we get to read more of Exodus this next week, or does this skip?
No, we go to Samuel, 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Samuel.
Oh, he's a pain in the rear too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Talk about seduction.
yeah.
He's
Yeah, in the case of in the case of what happens to the Israelites, they ask for empire down the road.
You down the road, don't
They
they?
open the door and say, please come in.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
God warns them against it.
And why do they do it?
Hmm.
Why do they ask for it?
I think because they didn't want to take responsibility for themselves.
I think there's a lot of that happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the main part. Why did who do? My brain stopped a minute. Why did not Pharaoh, but the ones that were following his orders?
No. Mary Lou was projecting into the future when the people asked for empire. When they asked,
I see. Yeah, okay.
they wanted to have a king.
Well, my question on what we read for today is, at one point, Pharaoh, I believe, says they outnumber us now. Okay,
Yeah.
if that's true, if there were so many of them, why did they not rebel?
That's always the question, isn't it? I mean, even down to some people's responses to the Holocaust is, why didn't the Jews rebel?
Mm-hmm.
But
But
I'm
not
sorry,
just-
when they do, they're not right either. So,
Right.
you know.
Right. No, I agree. I'm not putting this on Jews.
No.
I'm saying that's true. For example, in cases of abuse, what's our question? Well,
Why didn't you leave?
wife leave?
Why did you stay?
Yeah.
Right. And so it's the same dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, don't you think? I mean, not in the case, I think in the case of the ancient Israelites asking for a king, they looked around them and it just seemed like such a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Look how prosperous these people were.
We don't
All
have
of
what
that.
everybody else has. We want to be the same. Want to be the same.
But now, I think people are always prosperity gospel, looking for the easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
And
And aligning and being loyal to the king
right.
is one of those ways.
Not a lot of that going around.
And Barnwell.
So, reflecting on this, when this story is demonstrating that when we act without God, we must have God to have compassion and love and in our lives, because human beings, it's not it's not one of our strengths. And so this story is very, very much telling us that, it's funny. I mean, for people who believe that God is omnipotent, and the classic question of why didn't God stop it? It's the narrative always has to have that, well, God is omnipotent, but in this case, people weren't listening, people weren't, people get hurt. And so we have people currently who have stopped listening to God's message, and people are being harmed, and I don't know that that's terribly profound, but it's being in the story, in this story, and in the Adam and Eve story over and over again. Um, and we're playing it out in our world right now, that without
Yeah.
human beings,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that.
And isn't that the role of the prophet? Isn't that the role of prophecy? To say to people, listen, listen to God. You've stopped listening to God. We have stopped listening to God. Turn
Mhm.
around, open your ears, do it differently. Listen to God.
And there's
Follow.
always pushback on the prophets. I mean, just
Yeah,
Look at the
Look at
prophet
Pope
again.
Leo.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Listen and follow.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, Bishop Buddy
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
got slammed for saying, be merciful.
Hmm.
yeah,
And that's all she said
Yeah.
yeah,
was, please be merciful.
yeah, yeah.
The Pope enjoins people to love one another.
Hmm.
He's weak.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Much.
No.
So what second Samuel are we reading next week?
So, I mean, that's how the question continues to be, what is evil? How does evil operate? Is evil the thing that causes us to turn away from God?
Mm.
Yeah. And 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 God's who God is calls us back. I mean, one of the things I was thinking when Ann Barnwell was talking was that every one of us is created in God's image, right?
Right.
So, so when we turn away, when someone turns so profoundly away from that image, what happens? What happens? Are they?
And I get
No.
always confused, not confused, upset, but I think of David, when he's going, "Oh Lord, all these people prospering and that are doing awful things, or not doing awful things, maybe not even that, but turning away from God." And I will give a personal example. I have a dear cousin, PhD guy, a teacher, professor at Texas A&M. Right now, he and his wife are on yet another trip to Botswana. You look for David says these people have all this wonderful stuff, and yet they turn away from God. I mean, Terry doesn't do anything evil; he just doesn't. But and the rest of us sit there going, "Well, yeah, right. Here we are." That, but that's not so much a question of evil as just ignoring. Although
Ten bells.
Right. Yeah.
I will
But
share with you that the last time I saw him, Terry said something that made me realize that he was returning to his faith. He was raised a strong Episcopalian.
well, is that the beginning of the slippery slope then?
Yeah.
Is, the um the turning away. But yeah. And we believe, I think we all believe that God is fully capable of turning us back. Um if we listen, when we listen.
See you next week.
I don't know. No.
Take care, Jane.
Yeah.
Keep getting better.
Second Samuel something or other, right?
It's 1 Samuel 17 and 2 Samuel 11, 1 through 27. I put it in the chat.
Okay.
Got
First
it.
Samuel 17 and
And
second.
you'll send it out too.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
Thank
You'll
you.
send it out. Thank you.
And this one is
Okay.
called, this one, interestingly enough, is called The Hero.
Well, he is in a way. Oh,
Wendy,
I like it.
surrender
I
the
was in the
victim.
wrong one.
Be there to
hero.
get you in a little bit, okay, Wendy?
You know, this is super important what we're doing, clarifying what we're doing next week. But I think it's classic that when she asks us a question that's too hard to answer, we distract ourselves into something else because that's a super hard question.
I'm sorry.
Super hard.
I shouldn't have asked.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
it's just so hard to
Mhm.
entertain. I mean, these are the, gosh, you guys, these are the hardest questions, aren't
They
they?
are.
And I mean, it just, we're spending 6 whole weeks on this. It's almost laughable.
Well, I mean, and I really appreciate Jane Korsberg's finding this and urging us to do it because I think it's an important conversation to have. And to note that because I don't think there's a one of us who doesn't see a lot of evil in the world today.
Right.
Yes.
But to know it's always been there
Mhm.
Yeah.
and to be able to see perhaps how God's people have responded to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe.
I got it.
Yeah. And is there, are there different ways to respond?
Okay.
Can we do that differently? And I mean, you know, some of you read and or watch Heather Cox Richardson. And one of the things that she'll finish with
Okay, thank you.
is that
Love you.
people say,
I'll feed you
what
guys some.
can we do? Right? Because people are feeling so
You have an account on Spotify or do you need to make one? No, this is the link he sent me.
people are feeling so powerless in the midst of that. And you know, I do want big old squirrels out my window.
And you don't have a Spotify?
So
you didn't have
the
to make an account.
the big huge
Until you're done with that.
things that we can do is sometimes it just feels so hard, right? And Heather constantly reminds us that it is in our power to do the next right thing.
Mhm.
And I just think that that's exactly what we are called to do. What is the next right thing? And it is always dealing with people with
Yeah.
mercy and compassion
Mhm.
and love.
Yeah.
That is always the next right thing. And if we can invite people into that journey with us, then I think we're doing all in our power.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think it's important to have these conversations also because, and I'm speaking only for myself, it is becoming for me increasingly difficult not to succumb to hating the persons as well as the actions. I
Yeah.
mean, it's one thing to hate the actions, but God calls us not to hate the persons.
That's right.
And I'm finding that really, really hard right now.
And
so it's good to be talking about this.
Yes.
And the antidote to that, and the hardest thing that we will ever do, I think, is to pray for them.
Is to what?
Pray for them.
Pray for them.
You know, when I say the Lord's Prayer, I usually on the sin part will help me to forgive the sins of
Yeah.
others.
I have to
Because
get going, people. I'll see you next
Okay.
week.
See you, Ann.
I,
Bye, Ann.
It's hard. This is hard work. And if it's not hard work, I don't know if we're doing it quite right. Wendy?
My mom used to say, kill them with kindness.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a oldie but goodie. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 I'm sorry I yelled earlier. I didn't have it on mute. I'm yelling at the ducks to get off my dock. It's all full of poop. It's like, sorry about that.
Well,
needed
I
to
was muted.
apologize.
I was muted this whole time because I'm multitasking, getting things ready for
Oh.
Emily's party. So I have a friend over here getting a slideshow done. So I was muted because I'm multitasking. Sorry.
So tired, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had to leave because my daughter called and I responded to it because it's her birthday.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Oh,
happy
great. That's a good
birthday.
thing.
yeah. Busy people we are. Well, it's so good to spend this time with you.
It
Yeah.
is.
And we'll
So
see
good.
you next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care,
Paula,
everyone.
I didn't-
Feel better, Kathy.
Yeah.
Bye.
Paula,
Wendy,
I
I'll
didn't hear
talk
what.
to you later.